Hey everybody, welcome back to the Always Bayern Chelsea show. Today is Saturday, April 19th, as I record this one, fresh off of a huge, big-time bounce-back 4-0 victory for Bayern Munich over Heidenheim in the Bundesliga. And yeah, happy Easter weekend if that's what you're into. Bayern Munich winning this match like this, in this fashion, no drama, no fuss. This is another reason to celebrate. Jim and I are kind of trying to figure out how we're going to put this one together, but for now you got me recording my reaction to the Bayern Munich match. We will certainly have to splice together Jim's reactions and maybe some of my thoughts on the Chelsea matches too. Chelsea lost yesterday in the Conference League, but it was enough to get them through on aggregate, so they are through to the Conference League semifinals. And now they have a Premier League matchup on Easter tomorrow against Fulham. But this episode will probably come out after all that. And again, we'll figure out how to do it. So subscribe. This is a video episode. Subscribe to that YouTube channel to get all the full coverage. Check out the video there. And yeah, this is still the time of the year where the season is heating up. We got 4 Bundesliga matches left. Bayern has to win 2 of them and to secure the title, if that wasn't clear. And Chelsea is fighting for Europe in the Premier League, and Chelsea is still alive in the Conference League semifinals. So we're going to have a lot of cool stuff coming. But without further ado, let me start to break down this Bayern Munich match because, like I said, Bayern needed a bounce-back victory, a statement victory, telling the league, hey, this is still our league. You know, this is still our league, and we're going to take that Meisterschale back to Munich this year. But yeah, this was, like I said, the bounce-back victory from their midweek draw to Inter Milan, but overall a loss on aggregate in the Champions League, so they won't be progressing through to the semifinals, and now we just got to lock down on the Bundesliga. So let me start by running down Vincent Kompany's starting lineup for this one. A few guys got rested, which I think was smart. I did not have a problem with Kompany's lineup at all. Obviously, with all the injuries, I sound like a broken record talking about this every week, but he didn't have a whole lot of options necessarily, but there were some key guys that got some rest. So in net, we had Jonas Erbig. Phenomenal match from Erbig, I thought. Really one of his best showings. He wasn't tested a whole lot against this Heidenheim side, which has been struggling this year. Has definitely been struggling. I will not sugarcoat that. Heidenheim, I love Heidenheim. Talked about their story a lot on this show. Frank Schmidt, their coach, very small town team, making it all the way up to the Bundesliga with little to no money in comparison to all, the rest of the soccer world. So great story for Heidenheim, but they have been punching a bit above their weight as of late. And I think the combination of playing in the Conference League this season, they finished, 8th or something last year, maybe 7th, whatever it was to get the Conference League. I think it was 8th, though. And, yeah, they have been punching above their weight. The combination of top-flight Bundesliga ball along with the Conference League just turned out to be a little too much for them to handle. They are currently in a relegation battle. They're sitting at 16th place in the table. And that in the Bundesliga, if you didn't know, that would be the relegation playoff. So the bottom 2 teams, 17 and 18, get relegated automatically, and then 16th place team plays that 3rd place team in this fight to Bundesliga for a relegation playoff to see if they stay up in the top flight or if they go down. So that's how Heidenheim's looking right now. Again, didn't challenge Erbig very much, but he had a couple of real nice saves. He looks confident out there. I love the way he plays. And I'm ready to give this kid some more runtime. He's been thrown into the fire, obviously, with Neuer's injury, but I feel okay having him in net. And, I like what we got in the kid. I think, as of right now, I could see him being Neuer's successor, which is something I couldn't say about Nubel or Peretz or anybody else that Bayern kind of tried out in that role. Now, Erbig has a long way to go. I'm not giving him that next up just yet, but I like what I've seen so far. Everything I've seen so far from Erbig makes me feel good about him. So the rest of the back line saw some shifts with guys resting. Obviously, Kim, we talked about him a lot last week. Mistake in the Champions League, injured all season. He got some rest, which was good. The guy needs some rest. Sit him down for a little bit. Perfect match here to rest him. We saw Raphael Guerriero at left back. We saw Josip Stanisic sliding in at center back. Stanisic, versatile guy, can play anywhere on the back line. A guy you want to have around. A guy you need to have around if you have a team that's as injured as Bayern Munich. So Stanisic, center back. Eric Dyer, the other center back. Konrad Laimer at the right back. Really a great showing from the entire back line. The outside backs provided to the offense as we thought. Guerrero especially was so far up in the pitch. I mean, Bayern's whole lineup, their whole shape today was incredibly fluid. People interlapping, people kind of having free reign to go almost anywhere on the pitch. And Guerrero was one of those guys. Guerrero was playing like an attacker, whereas you had Pavlovic and Kimmich in the midfield. Also a nice game from both of them. Pavlovic was almost playing as a center back at times, and Guerrero or a left back, and Guerrero was so far up the pitch. Eric Dyer continues to show that he can be that leader on the back line. He can be that leader as center back. I was pleased with how Stanisic did as well as the other center back, but Dyer, again, the guy just shows he's got what it takes. And I really wish Kompany would have believed in him earlier in this year, and maybe we wouldn't be in the dire situation. Get it? In the dire situation we're at right now in terms of injuries, because if Kompany would have just had a little sense to rotate Eric Dyer in there, I mean, Dyer's played better than Kim in a lot of big matches. I talked about that last week. So if Kompany would have just had that foresight earlier in the year, maybe things would be a little bit different right now. Maybe not, but I hope he learns from this. I hope he sees all these awesome performances Dyer's putting in and realizes that, hey, next year, assuming everybody's still around, we can rotate him in a little bit more. Konrad Laimer at the right back. Awesome game from Laimer today. I don't know how the guy's not tired. He's playing 90 minutes every single match and just looks like he's not tired at all. I mean, he's still got the energy to run. And yeah, Connie Laimer, just such a good contributor offensively today. These are the perfect games for him where, same with Guerrero, I would say as a left back, perfect games for these guys here where they don't have to necessarily be great at defense. Heidenheim's not going to challenge them very much, but they can use their strengths at getting into the offense and being a part of that attacking mix. They can really show those strengths in matches like this. I mentioned the midfield was solid. Kimmich, awesome game from Kimmich. He's been tired lately, I think. He didn't play his best against Milan. He wasn't bad by any means, but he looked more involved today. He looked more fiery. So awesome match from Kimmich. Solid match from Pavlovic as well. Pavlovic, ramping back up after that illness, after injuries. The guy just can't catch a break this season, and unfortunately has kind of taken a step back in his development as opposed to where he was at earlier in the season. So, Pavlovic, solid match from him. Goretzka actually is injured now, got injured in training, so add him to the laundry list of Bayern Munich players injured, but Pavlovic filled in very nicely. The attack, again, we saw some changes here from the Inter match. We saw Kingsley Coman at left wing, Serge Gnabry at the 10, Michael Olise at the right wing, and Harry Kane at the 9. That's how they lined up on paper. Again, in practice, this attack was maybe the most fluid part of this team. You saw Gnabry almost anywhere on the pitch. You saw Olise and Coman, for the most part staying right and left, but there were times where they were like completely flip-flopped and just anywhere. So again, this is one of those matches where I think Kompany's kind of free reign, push a bunch of guys forward, tactics works out well. This is a match where Bayern can dominate, and they did. Chance after chance, and could have had more than 4 goals, that's for sure. But again, this is where Kompany's tactics are good. A match like this in the Bundesliga, you just want to press hard, you just want to control the match, and you just want to dominate, and that's really what Bayern Munich did. So, beginning of the match, I think both teams had a good amount of pressure. Both teams pressed pretty well to start the match. And again, Bayern Munich was just so fluid. We didn't have to wait very long for the opening goal because Harry Kane scored that goal in the 12th minute, and such a good goal from Kane. Olise got the assist, but Kane found himself not really that close to goal, back to goal, and did what a striker does. He just turned around and slotted that right in the bottom right corner of the net. Perfect placement, perfect shot. Not an easy shot either with your back to the goal to turn around and just rip a shot through the defense. Probably split, 3 defenders and the keeper. It was a great shot, and it was one of those moments where, Kane just takes the match and says, I'm winning that trophy. You can injure this whole squad. I'm going to win this league single-handedly if I have to. And overall, it was just a great match from Kane. I thought he was everywhere. He was mobile. He did miss a couple chances. Shortly after this goal, he actually had a wide-open header that kind of, I think, got deflected. But he was basically 1 meter from the goal, diving head first. When he actually, obviously you can't tell that it's going to be deflected when you're going in to dive, but if he would have just kind of stood up, he could have easily tapped it in with his foot, but ended up diving with his head and kind of missing wide. Also had a free header off of a corner. This one wasn't as easy, but he made a great run, kind of split the defense, and then, should have really put it on target, but instead just headed it above the net. But my point is, Harry Kane was so creative today. He was creating for other people. He was creating for himself. I mean, we'll talk about it later as we talk about these other goals, but Kane was a menace today. He was everywhere at once. Heidenheim's defense really had no answer for Kane and the rest of this attack. I mean, all the attackers, Coman, Gnabry, Olise, all of them were great. All of them were everywhere at once. All of them were just a massive headache for this Heidenheim defense. So that was fun to see. The whole match was really fun. Had a lot of fun. This whole match today was just awesome. But yeah, like I said, a couple more chances. Olise missed a chance or two in there as well before the second goal, or maybe right after the second goal. But 19th minute, we saw Konrad Laimer get that second goal. Such a good assist by Serge Gnabry. Just finds a streaking Konrad Laimer. It was one of those where Gnabry has to just place the ball perfectly and Laimer runs into it. Like they were just totally on the same page. Gnabry hits that pass and Laimer beats the defender, gets there and gets an open shot. Does a nice job to finish it. We saw later in this match, you don't always finish those one-on-one chances with the keeper. A couple of guys missed some of those, but not Laimer. Laimer took the chance, buried it, and it's 2-0 Bayern in the 19th minute, and you're feeling good at this point. I had the moment of the match as Kane's opening goal because it was, the moment that broke the match open, and from then on, Bayern wasn't going to lose this match. So many chances, so creative, dominating the match. They were fired up, and they just weren't going to lose. That's what it was. I mean, they came off of that devastating midweek elimination against Inter, and they just said they weren't going to lose. And that's what we need to see out of Bayern Munich. That's what we need to see out of Vincent Kompany. This squad, they were shot out of a cannon, and this was an awesome match. 36th minute, we see Kingsley Coman's goal, which good finish from Coman, but I want to mention how the goal started because Harry Kane finds Raphael Guerriero somehow. Kane, I mean, this pass, if you want to watch one highlight from this match, it would maybe be this pass from Kane to find Guerriero wide open in front of the keeper, and Guerriero just shoots it right at the keeper's chest. Kevin Muller on Heidenheim, their keeper, actually had a good match. Kevin Muller was allowed 4 goals and had a good match, so that just shows how much Bayern was doing in this one. But yeah, I mean, we see that shot from Guerriero. Muller saves it, but the rebound actually goes to Coman, who kind of dribbles past a few people and slides a ball in near post. Muller could have done more to save that one, that's for sure. But Coman had to beat a couple guys, and he had a tight angle, and he found it. So all the credit there goes to Kingsley Coman, Harry Kane, and even Raphael Guerriero for ripping off a hard enough shot where Muller couldn't catch it. So yeah, that's how we're looking. That's how we're looking. We go into halftime, up 4-0, and I suppose I should mention too a couple Bayern players on Heidenheim here. We have Paul Wanner, projected to be a star really for Bayern. A lot of people think this kid's going to be a star. He's kind of an attacking midfield player. He can play a little bit on the wing. Heidenheim doesn't have like a traditional formation really. He started off the season a lot better. He started off the season scoring a lot, providing a lot of assists, being so dangerous to this team. Really has trailed off in the second half of the year. Since, I don't know, January, February, he hasn't really been on the score sheet much. From what I remember, just kind of keeping up, on him, keeping up on the scores for Heidenheim. Yeah, so he hasn't really been there much lately, but he subbed in this match. He didn't start this match, but Franz Kratzig actually did start this one. Franz Kratzig was another Bayern loanee, loaned to Stuttgart for the first half of the year. Didn't really go well for him at Stuttgart, but he's been playing a lot at Heidenheim now, and he's looking pretty good. So Kratzig, I think, is more of a kind of a wingback, kind of like a left side defensive wingback. But Heidenheim, like I said, not a traditional formation, so he technically kind of plays in the midfield sometimes on that left side, but yeah, that's kind of like what his profile is. And he was all right today. I noticed him involved a lot, but Heidenheim couldn't break through. Nobody on Heidenheim could break through in this match. So we start the second half, up 3-0. We're feeling great. I'm thinking, all right, Kompany's going to pull the trigger on some subs, maybe get some kids some minutes and rest some other guys. And at halftime, he brings in Sacha Boey for Konrad Laimer. Good sub there just because Laimer has played so much. I would not want to risk Laimer getting injured. He's been such an influential guy in this team playing right back, funnily enough. As a midfielder, he's been such a good right back for Bayern. So Konrad Laimer gets a rest there. That's good. You bring in Sacha Boey. Hopefully Boey can amend his horrible mistake against Inter. Just too aggressive, goes in for a steal when he doesn't need to and leaves his guy wide open for that goal. This is the first leg I'm talking about after Muller scored his goal and Inter came down and scored again. And that's ultimately where the tie ended. I don't want to get into that since I had such a passionate, fiery reaction episode to that second leg match. But that's essentially where the tie was ended. So Boey comes in and he did all right today. He wasn't anything special, but he was fine out there. So happy for him to get some minutes and not blow a huge match, basically. And then 56th minute, shortly after halftime, Kimmich gets his goal. Just a nice goal by Kimmich, assisted by Guerriero. Kimmich found himself with some space, maybe slightly inside the box, and just buried a shot through the defense, bottom right corner of the net, I believe. And yeah, it's 4-0 at this point. Bayern is kind of on cruise control. Really just from there, good accuracy, good patience from Kimmich on that goal. And after that, Kompany really starts to head to his bench. 63rd minute, Muller and Zane come on. Kane and Coman come off. Good subs again, just getting guys some rest there. And 74th minute, Vidovic comes on, Olise comes off. Again, Olise's been playing a lot, and I think Olise looked awfully tired against Inter, so great idea to get him some rest there. We're coming up in this stretch run of the Bundesliga, and we're going to need all of our remaining guys to be healthy. Basically, we can't risk losing another guy to injury. So, and it was good to see Vidovic. It was good to see the kid come on. He had a loan spell at Mainz first half of the season. Didn't go so well for him. He was injured for a while and then just couldn't really kind of break through, couldn't really crack into the starting lineup consistently or do damage consistently. So good to see him just get some playing time here. 85th minute, you saw Polina come on and Guerriero come off. Again, good to get a lot of guys minutes, shake off some rust. Polina hasn't been playing very much, and just get a guy like Guerriero some rest because you're probably going to need Guerriero going forward here. He's such a utility guy. He can play on the back line. He can play in the midfield. He can play on wing if you really need him to. He can play as an attacking midfielder if you really need him to. So, good to see him, get a little bit of rest at the end of this one. But that's kind of how the match ended. Bayern, Bayern just had their way with Heidenheim. Bayern controlled most of the match. It kind of slowed down when you saw some of the subs come in. I thought Gnabry was on fire the whole match. I thought Gnabry was awesome, was super good. Like I said, the match slows down a little bit. Heidenheim wasn't able to break in. Urbig had a couple of really nice saves at the end there to keep that clean sheet. Deserved clean sheet for Urbig. And if I were to give out some match awards here, I would say Harry Kane was the man of the match, just breaking it open. So creative for himself, for others, all match. Kimmich, I'm giving the Robin. Kimmich just dominated this match through and through, dominated the match. The pace of the match, whatever, it was all dictated by Kimmich. Everything had to be run by Kimmich in this match, basically, is what it seemed like for me. Also, Kimmich kind of moved around. I think later in the match when the subs came in, he was actually playing on the back line, so he was just all over the place. Underrated fireball, Serge Gnabry. London Gnabry, April Gnabry, May Gnabry. These guys are the best player in the world. Gnabry disappears for an entire season. Granted, he had a really good start this season, but disappeared for most of the season and just shows up at the end of April looking like a new guy, looking like his old self, his 2020 London Gnabry. I've been talking about that lately. Just kind of funny that, he's such a different player in these months. So, hey, we're going to need him, though. We got those injuries, and we're going to need everybody in this squad for the rest of the year. Defender, I'm giving to Konrad Laimer. Got that goal. Was just an absolute nuisance on the right-hand side all day for Heidenheim. So good to see him playing good again. And I don't know if I really have that much else to say about this match. It was just a solid effort from Bayern Munich. A deserved win, a deserved dominant win, a rebound match, a statement match. We're 9 points up on Leverkusen right now. If they win tomorrow against St. Pauli, it will be back to 6 points. There's 4 matches left in the Bundesliga, so Bayern Munich has to win 2 of them. They have that goal differential locked and loaded over Leverkusen, so if they were to drop 2 games and essentially Leverkusen were to win all theirs and they were tied on points, Bayern would have the league. So we're looking good in the league. We really are. We got to we got to keep the pedal to the metal, and we got to win 2 more matches. But I'm really happy with the performance today. Hopefully they can get some rest now. And I say some rest because Bayern's been playing 2 matches a week, it seems like, all season. So we finally have a full week before our next match. So stay tuned here. We're going to give you potentially any more Chelsea reactions in this episode or a different one, depending on how Jim's schedule looks. So I think I will send it off from there, and looking forward to playing Mainz next week in the Bundesliga. That'll be a good one. Mainz is, I think, around 4th or so in the table right now, maybe 5th, depending on how this week shapes up or whatever. But I'm really looking forward to the end of this Bundesliga season. I love the Bundesliga, and I love Bayern Munich. Mia san Mia.
Chelsea win! Chelsea win! Are you kidding me? Being a little fake at this point, it's been long enough. But man, is that the win that saves the season, saves Maresca's job, saves how we as fans think about this group of Chelsea men? I don't know. It's still too early to tell. We still got a lot of tough games to end this season. But boy, oh boy. A loss there takes Chelsea out of UCL contention. No doubt in my mind about that. And a draw probably does as well. So to get a win in comeback fashion against Fulham, a London derby, it feels great. And I didn't catch it live. Unfortunately, it was at Easter Sunday Mass in the area of Milwaukee. But seeing it back, watching it back, seeing the emotion of the players, seeing how happy they were, it's a great feeling. It really is. Chelsea needed something huge just to get the boys going, get them vibing, getting the fans to be in a good spot. Let's be honest, this club has been toxic as hell for a while now in the recent terms, whether it's the ownership, the players, the manager, the sporting directors. There's just a lot of toxicity right now, and it's not great, honestly. I can feel it all the way over here in the Midwest, all the way from London. So, yeah, it's just so good to get that victory. And, if I go back to when we're starting, the lineup drops. And I had great vibes. I really did, because I see Reece James is in the lineup, and it looks like a really strong lineup. Him and Chalobah and Colwill and Cucurella. The midfield duo that's so strong in Enzo and Caicedo, and Neto, Noni, Palmer, and Jackson up top. I mean, I really was thinking it was going to be a great day. And what's funny about that is a lot of those guys I'm naming here did not have an impact at all. We see Reece James have a putrid 45 minutes of football. And I'm not sure what's up with Reece. Whether it's his fitness not being up to par due to all these injuries he's been accumulating the last few years, whether it's him feeling pressure of being a leader, and, maybe he's not a natural-born leader. I certainly don't think he is, in my opinion. Whatever the case is, he's shown flashes for sure, but I still think he's maybe a ways out from being the ultra-consistent guy that we know he can be. So in that first half, it was tough. Chelsea did not look particularly threatening. I thought Nico Jackson was not doing much. Palmer was kind of looking how he's looked here recently. James, as I mentioned, wasn't great. It didn't seem like a lot of guys were trying, like they had a heart. And that to me is what's so disheartening about this team at times, because they have the talent, the technical ability. They can string together moments where they look brilliant, but they're young, naive, inexperienced at times, playing in a system that they're maybe still learning and maybe not loving. But that first half, you saw all of that. You saw Fulham take advantage of a terrible mistake from Reece James, instantly push the ball up in the counter, and Iwobi put a shot away that was unsavable. And it kind of goes back to the fire that I have not seen in this team. And I don't know if the end result of this game is going to change that. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but these boys being so young, you'd think they just have the energy and the desire and the passion to go out week after week and perform. That's one of my biggest things I don't understand about this Chelsea squad, is that they have all the makings of a team that should just be having fun and lighting the world on fire. Think how many guys are against them. Think how many opposing fans talk about how much money we spend, how young we are, how many mistakes we make. I don't know. If I'm a young guy and I'm hearing all that, not only am I using that as motivation, but I'm laughing it off and just saying, hey, let's go out, have fun, and smash this freaking team. And to me, Chelsea don't do that nearly enough. I think we saw glimpses of it at the beginning of this year, certainly glimpses of it at the end of last year when they were chaotic and didn't really have a way about them under Poch. I'm not saying I want them to be chaotic and out of sorts, but I need to see more fire, more passion. You can play in a system that's, pretty concise and clear, a system that Enzo Maresca has. You can play in that system, but also still have that passion and creativity and freedom, if you will, to do certain things. Those things can be combined. I think Maresca would tell you that. And, I think we did see glimpses of that in the second half. So if I'm not mistaken, you bring off Reece James. Malo Gusto comes in at half. Let's see, they made those subs. Yeah, right at half. Sancho comes in for Noni. Neto moves over to the right where Noni was. I think those subs did a couple things. Number one, Malo Gusto was really able to exploit a lot of the midfield and right-hand side space that Fulham was giving us. Let's face it, he's more athletic and more durable at this point. Well, he got injured at the end, but more athletic than Reece James at this point in their careers. So I think that's a lot of what he was providing in that spot. And I didn't see a lot of the second half closely, but from what I've kind of caught up on, it seemed like that was the case. Sancho will give you some control, a little bit of shot creating, and assist type technicality on that left-hand side. Neto's good on the left, but he's not going to provide much of a shooting threat there compared to what he does on the right. So, those subs made sense to me in the moment. But still, Chelsea really were not pushing and giving me the fire and passion that I so badly wanted from them until it got so close at the end. And Fulham really start to say, okay, we're up 1-0, we're going to get defensive, which to me makes no sense. They have nothing to play for. They're not getting relegated. Maybe they could sniff Europe, but they'd have to go on such a crazy run to do so. So still, that didn't make a ton of sense to me. I don't know. I just would have thought Fulham would be more aggressive in that moment, and they weren't toward the end. They certainly were not. So Chelsea would take advantage. 78th minute, Tyreek George comes in for Nico Jackson. Nico Jackson did not have a good day. He's certainly not been himself since coming back from injury. Whether that's effects of the injury, time off, and he's rusty, whatever the case is, he just is not showing that he's the striker we need him to be right now. And am I confident he's going to get there? Yeah. I don't know if it will be this year to end the year. But if you need to try other solutions because he's not himself, then don't play him. Or play him just 45, whatever the case. But Tyreek George comes on. I don't love Tyreek yet at this point, but he's shown me enough lately. So you might as well play a guy when he's feeling himself. And lo and behold, there's kind of some good play out toward the right side. The ball feeds its way across the pitch. And Tyreek unleashes a great low strike with his right foot and buries it in the corner of the net, out of the way of the Fulham keeper. Unsavable, a great strike. That's what you need to see from these guys, whether it's wingers, strikers, even some attacking midfielders. You need to put the ball on target and good things will happen. I just don't think Chelsea put the ball on target, on the net enough. And if Tyreek's a guy that's going to come in here and do that on a consistent basis, I'm not going to complain. So I love that from Tyreek. Was so happy for him. Again, didn't see it live, but I had Danny texting me while I was in Mass. Not actually Mass, it's a non-denominational church, so just a service, but was seeing things on my watch from him. He was excited. Awesome to see. And again, just happy for Tyreek that he could get his first Premier League goal. That is a huge, huge stepping stone for this young man's career. I think he's at a point where Maresca probably can start to trust him a little bit more as we get to the end here. Maybe he'll get some more time. He might get a start here in the coming days. I would not be surprised to see him start against Everton. I think Sancho's been playing well too, so either of those guys could start in my opinion. But if you got multiple guys firing on all cylinders, that's certainly a good thing. So that was the 83rd minute. And really, it looked like Fulham was falling apart a little bit. And I know Danny was texting me a lot about this. He said Fulham were collapsing. They were getting out of their structure. Probably trying to be so defensive, not caring about, scoring a goal. Which to me, again, was not the move if you're Fulham. But maybe they were tired as well. I couldn't really tell for sure. That could have been the case. But nonetheless, Chelsea take advantage. And man, it feels so freaking good to do this to Fulham when they've done it to us. Other teams have done it to us. But the 93rd minute, a beautiful team play. Absolutely beautiful. Go rewatch this goal from the beginning. Whether this is Maresca's system, whether it's the players, I don't know. A lot of it's Caicedo. They get the ball to Caicedo. He drives it upfield a little bit. It gets to Palmer. He goes wide to Enzo. First time pass through the box to Neto. Touch with the right foot. Spin back onto the left. And bam! He puts it away with a strike. That was out of a rocket ship. I mean, are you kidding me, Pedro Neto, with that strike? That was unreal, the strike that he came up with. Leno had no chance at saving that thing. Neto goes nuts. The entire team goes nuts. Maresca goes so nuts he gets a yellow. I mean, the joy that this sport can bring you as a player, a fan, a manager, a guy working concessions. Well, not at Craven Cottage, but still, just insane the things that can happen. And I was so happy, when I was in church and I saw that Fabrizio tweet come up that Chelsea had won 2-1. I had been thinking it was just 1-1. I didn't know for sure. I couldn't tell based on Danny's texts. The joy that came with that tweet notification from my boy Fabrizio. And I tell you what, there was a message in church today. If you're Christian, if you're not, you might know the story of Jesus Christ. He did rise on Easter. That's what we celebrate on Easter. Jesus Christ has risen from the grave. He came back to life. And they sang a song talking about the dead coming alive. And I couldn't help but think about Chelsea Football Club. The dead come alive. Chelsea were dead. They were buried in the pitch at Craven Cottage. Down 1-0. 83rd minute. Out of UCL. Down in 7th in the table. Fans are going haywire. Nobody likes what they're seeing from the team. They were dead. They got put in a grave behind a big rock, and nobody wanted to see them. But 2 goals later and 10 minutes later, you move that rock, and Chelsea are nowhere to be seen. They rose from the dead at Craven Cottage. They came back to life, and they're back in the hunt for UCL. Sitting 5th right now, that probably will change if Forest get a draw or a win tomorrow against Tottenham. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking my Spurs could do it. Shouldn't say my Spurs, but I'm trying to motivate them. But we'll see. It's interesting now how Forest are in quite the predicament. So they could fold under pressure. You never know. They're not a club that usually has to deal with being in a tight fight for UCL. So the big news on the day, on this Easter day, and whenever you're listening, is that Chelsea have risen from the dead. We'll see. We will see. I hope they can continue to really push toward the end here. It's going to be tough. I won't lie to you, Chelsea fans, if you're listening out there. It will be tough. They go next at home at the Bridge, early Saturday morning for those of us in the States here. Feel bad for those in California. I think it'll be 4:30 a.m., but really important match here. Every single match will be a must-win for Chelsea, whether it's Conference League or Premier League. So Saturday morning at home against Everton, must win. Keep the momentum. And then we go into a midweek match in the semis away at Djurgården. They are out of Sweden, so that'll be key. And then we got Liverpool. Semifinal leg 2, Newcastle United Forest. And a potential Conference League final in there as well. So can Chelsea do it? Can they finish top 5 and get Champions League? We'll see. I think it's going to be so tough, and I don't want to count on it happening, but I'm here for the ride. I'm definitely here for the ride, and I'm going to hope for the best. And I'm going to take this victory for what it is, which is a brilliant one, a rising from the dead, Undertaker meme, and it's brilliant. So I hope everybody had a great weekend. Hope you're having a great day, whether it's Monday listening to this, Tuesday, 2026, who knows. But up the Chelsea, enjoy the day. By the way, shout out to Bayern, 4-0 victory against Heidenheim. Boy, what happened to Heidenheim? But Bayern have really locked up the Bundesliga now with Leverkusen drawing. So good for them. I'm happy for Danny. So I'll give a Mia San Mia for that as well. And have a great day.